Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. My name is Crown and today we are going to have some more stories that I hope that you will enjoy. But before we start, it would be so much appreciated if you would subscribe to the channel, like the video if you enjoyed it, and maybe leave a comment down below. These simple clicks would mean a lot to the future of this channel and really reward the effort that I put in every day. And now, without further ado, let's go! First story. I've been told you'd like to hear about my grandmother. My grandmother got married in 1962 to a young man in the military. For a wedding present, their parents bought them a house in a nice suburb. White picket fence, whole 9 yards. Not long after they moved in, the next door neighbor planted a mulberry tree on the side of his property near my grandparents' driveway. Nothing seemed amiss, but if you know mulberry trees, you know that crap is about to get real. About 15 years later, the mulberry tree was obnoxious. The birds would come and eat the berries, and any car parked in the driveway would get crap on. And it would stain the cars and ruin paint jobs. My grandmother, upon realizing the culprit, picked a nice apple pie, walked next door, and asked the neighbor if he'd mind trimming back the branches of the tree that hung over her driveway. He told her not to worry and he'd get to it soon. 3 days later, my grandmother opened her door to find the half-eaten pie in the plate, crawling with ants, and a note that said, "I changed my mind." My grandmother threw out the pie, cursing up a storm and swearing up and down she'd get him to trim that tree or get him back. City ordinance said she could not trim the tree, as the roots were on his property, so the whole tree was his property. As the years went by, my grandmother repeatedly asked him ever so nicely to trim it back. His responses were always along the lines of, "No and get lost." Finally, in the mid-90s, my grandmother retired and received a large bonus from her employer for her 35 years of work. She took the money and bought the empty lot on the other side of the neighbor and bought 16 mulberry trees, planting them along her property line on both sides of his property. About 3 years ago, he became angry at the damage they were doing to his cars, and he cut them all back without permission. My grandmother took him to court, and he was forced to reimburse her for the trees and a markup because they'd had 10 years to grow. Next story. Teen angst will get you in trouble. In high school, I was semi-dating a cute girl from the school. I was 16, she was 15, and she also had other boyfriends, as I soon discovered. One night around 1 a.m. I walked out of her house to find 2 guys from school waiting for me. One of them I know and we are cool. The other guy I really don't know at all. So the guy I don't know started coming towards me from the side of her house. I am now standing in the driveway between my car and her dad's car, as I notice there are 2 of them. I opened my car door and reached down and grabbed my trusty, multifunctional tire tool, aka tire iron. I placed the tire iron in my left hand, I'm right-handed, and he started confronting me and asking, "What the hell are you doing here?" Do I really have to tell you? Then one of them notices the tire iron and gets angry. He starts calling me a coward and asking me why I can't just fight fair. Well, you idiot, there are 2 of you, me and a tire iron. Sounds quite fair, right? So my girlfriend keeps approaching me and asks me, "Do you have a problem?" It was at this point I realized there is going to be a fight. It is now a question of who is going to win. So I decided to punch this kid in the face. No, I don't. A mid-sentence start punching him in the face, quickly and repeatedly, with my right fist. I think I got 2 or 4 good shots to his face as he fell all over her dad's car. The guy I know out of the 2 of them has been hanging out at the garage door and is now starting to come at me. I raised the tire iron and told him we have no reason to fight, and he agreed and backed down. I decided to go back into her house and calm down a minute, but she is more angry that there was a fight, In retrospect, I know she just wanted to be able to hang out with both of us without it being an issue, so she was angry that I punched the dude in the face. So anyways, after about 3 minutes, I decide that I'm going home. I open the door to find the guy I just punched is now beating the rear passenger quarter panel of my car with some sort of axe handle or something. I chase him off and the two idiots jump in his truck and they take off. The dude put 6 or 7 dents in the back panel of my car. This will be important later. My dad required me to file a police report, as technically it was his car and he wanted to get insurance to pay for the repairs. So a couple days later I'm driving to work and I notice frickin' Frank are in their truck following me. I duck in this neighborhood and then into the next one and yep, they are following me. And there is definitely going to be another fight. I don't have time for this on this day. At this time I worked in a small town and I pull into a parking spot. Walk into the restaurant and lucky day for me, the local police sergeant is sitting at the bar eating lunch. He was in plain clothes. I walk in, walk straight to him and tell him I've got a problem. As he is asking what the problem is, here comes freaking Frank, busting in the door and yelling at me. Sergeant stands up and tells him to calm down. Frick, the guy punched, tells the sergeant to mind his own business. Oops. The sergeant immediately announces himself and shows his badge on his belt and walks freaking Frank to the front sidewalk. He speaks with them for a minute and then asks me to come outside. The sergeant doesn't want any of this garbage. It is a high school drama about a girl. So he asks us to make nice. Instead, I asked the sergeant if he had asked Frick how he got here. I mean, you do know that his truck right there, right? A truck that doesn't have any tags on it, being driven around by two 15-year-olds who don't have licenses. Oops. So Frick gets arrested for driving without a license. This is getting sweeter and sweeter. No insurance, no tags. He also tried to run but got caught. The cops dropped that charge. So due to the police report from the events a few nights earlier in this one, juvenile court requires the both of us to go to mediation counseling. My dad tells me I need to take pictures of the car to show as evidence of the damage he had done, and to request payment for the damage so he doesn't have to file insurance. Okay, no problem, Dad. My friends and I took a broken pool cue and used the back end of it to add about 15 or 20 more dents to the back of the car. Then we took pictures. We get to court the next day and we go through the story. He cried that I broke his jaw and he ate soup for a week. Yeah, right. I saw you yelling at me the next day, loser. We get to the part about the car. And before putting the pictures on the table, he admits that, yeah, he hit my car with an axe handle several times. He doesn't remember how many. Boom. I put the pictures out on the table, showing a car with about 30 dents in the rear quarter and nearby in the trunk lid. And the dude's face dropped open. The mediator was done. I win. If memory serves, Duke got several months of probation and some community service along with a very small fine, due to his age and inability to pay a large fine. No restitution was ever paid to me, but whatever. His aunt and uncle were done with his crap and shipped him off to live with another family several counties away, and I never saw that idiot again. So dude, here's to you being a total jerk. Next story. Bad roommate gets owned. Alright, I have a story about my bad roommate from 2 years ago. Background on the roommate. This guy was horrible. He was going to college for no reason and was on a full ride through financial aid and bragged constantly about it. The problem was that his parents are millionaires and he makes a ton of money showing cattle, while I'm white and squarely middle class and get only $500 per year in financial aid while paying out of pocket and with loans. He also bought a brand new $40,000 truck while in college because he doesn't have to pay a cent for his college education. Just to give you an example. Well, he gets bad grades, cheats on every assignment and test, and parties nightly, especially on Thursdays. Being an engineering student, I don't understand this tradition as I haven't the time for it. He comes home blackout drunk at 2 in the morning and is extremely loud. Like windows shaking loud. He also drives a neck condition. He is also a huge douche with house kebab. He will not provide paper products at all. I started hiding my TP as he will go through a jumbo roll per day, will not clean, and generally makes a huge mess. He is also very abusive to his girlfriend. I could go on, but nah, you get the picture. The offense. He was so rude to everyone all the time, and this was just a straw that broke the camel's back. I and the other tenants, 3 of us, picked a weekend to clean the house. Everyone agreed, even the jerk did. Then halfway through the week, the jerk informs us that he will be leaving for the weekend so won't be able to clean. The 3rd time this has happened. He has also filled, except for one shelf, our full-size fridge. It's the only one in the house. And he filled it with bad drinks. He also decides to thaw raw meat not on a plate and wrapped in nothing but a paper wrapping on top of all of our food. It obviously leaked through the paper and got all over our food and the fridge. We tell him to remove the drink before he leaves and to clean his stuff up and replace our food that has been contaminated with raw meat. We remind him almost hourly of this for the rest of the week. Friday comes around and by the time the rest of us get back from class, that jerk is gone. He has done nothing and we are extremely angry. The revenge. We cleaned the house that weekend anyway. We also took the thawed meat from the fridge and since his truck was still there, his girlfriend drove that weekend, we grabbed his spare keys and spread that nonsense all over the engine. Have fun when that puppy heats up. Well then, we then removed the drinks, 80-something cans, from the fridge and set it in our yard with a sign, free drinks. And we waited. 3/4 of the drinks was gone by that night, so we took the rest of it back inside and shook the crap out of every single can of them, then hid them all over the house. We also replaced his pillow with cans since he launched himself onto his bed. And we then waited. The jerk returns and being the definition of stupid doesn't notice anything, goes to his room and flops onto his bed. Thunk.
What the heck? Why is there spilled drink on my pillow?
We are dying laughing but managing to keep it quiet. He confronts us about it and we just tell him he should have moved his drinks and not ditched cleaning. He never noticed most of it was gone. He was angry as his tiny brain couldn't register that he was supposed to clean too, and in general pitch in and not be a douche. Then came the kicker. Throughout the week he kept complaining that his truck smelled awful, and that he couldn't figure out why. Well, that Thursday, he went out to get blasted again. We threw the free drinks sign into the back of his truck with his drinks. 2 in the morning rolls around, and he passed through the door again near blackout drunk complaining about how some people stole my drinks. Oh, I forgot to say that he was also underage at that time. He then leaves to go to his girlfriend's house, driving himself again while drunk so we call the cops, with his truck description, plus where he's headed, as we are sick of dealing with this drunk jerk and him endangering everyone else in the town. He gets busted, blows a ridiculously high PAC, and gets DUI in an underage. The college drops his financial aid, and he has to resell his truck to pay for college. Justice is served. And now you get to live like the rest of us. Next story. Landlord tried to exploit me for the free labor. I'm renting a little house out past the suburbs of the city I'm currently working in. It is a little old and the appliances are a bit outdated. But it was much cheaper than a 2-bedroom apartment downtown, and I move around every couple of years for work. My landlord lives out of state and doesn't have anyone local, so for the past year and a half, I haven't talked to anyone. Just pay my rent on time and keep doing my thing. About 4 months ago, plumbing issues started popping up, and 2 major appliances decided to give up the ghost. I notified my landlord via email and written letter. I rent a lot and have learned to abide by the exact wording in a lease. After several follow-up emails and phone calls, a local handyman showed up to look at everything and provide a quote. After receiving the quote for parts plus labor, the landlord told me flat out that they will not be paying for the repairs. They said that since I'm an engineer, they would allow me to purchase parts, install them and then deduct the cost of the repairs from my rent payment. They said it was either this or learn to make do. I was not super thrilled at this response. I replied back to them saying that if they were willing to deduct my time and cost of the parts from my rent, that I would get started immediately. Then I would get started immediately. Thank you very much. They were thrilled to hear it and asked me to send receipts for the records when everything is finished. Great! Now to put together all pieces and get to work. The first step was to file for an LLC with my current state. Next, I set up some cameras and borrowed a GoPro from one of my hiking mates. I was able to document all the repairs process from me watching YouTube videos of how to do things to me making multiple runs to the parts store to get that piece I didn't know I needed. And here is the kicker. At my day job, I make over $50 an hour. That is what my time is valued at. The final bill for everything has worked out to be 12% higher than the quoted cost. And the landlord is very upset. But my lawyer added to the email chain has kept him very civil. And now we have reached the end of today's stories. Thank you for watching and see you next time.